And the parties kept happening, and every day was just nirvana.
We were sat on the wall just talking, and I noticed a moped.
And I jumped down and looked back.
We worked out that she had been taken further up the beach.
His reply was spitting on the ground in front of me.
As I turn around, I get hit.
Back door with some blood on the side of his face.
I just took off running.
I just hid behind the closet, like shaking in fear. And
It doesn't exist if you can't see it.
We got one last drink.
Yes.
And that's a drink. After I drank it, I was feeling very, very drowsy.
There was 2 men that I can remember having masks on.
It's 6 a.m. on a Monday morning. Your alarm goes off, and like everyone else, you drag yourself to a job you hate. But through it all, you dream of that perfect vacation. While some people can't wait to hit the slopes or go camping, others prefer a tropical paradise to relax by the sea sipping on a fresh coconut. And what better destination than the land of smiles, Thailand.
Now is the right time for picking orchids.
Especially if you're picking a Royal Orchid holiday.
Because our low airfares mean we can take you to beautiful Thailand at low package prices. Like our 8-day holiday staying in Bangkok and Pattaya Beach from around $130. And there are more in Thailand just as enticing.
Just as enticing, just as enticing, just as enticing, just as enticing.
Among its most popular locations that have recently become overcrowded with tourists, one location stands out from the rest as a hidden gem. But beware, as this seemingly idyllic destination can turn your dream vacation into a living hell. Stay tuned as we uncover the hidden dangers of Koh Tao. The Gulf of Thailand has a dark history of treacherous pirates who once ruled the southern coastal waters. Preying on ships and villages, their brutal attacks turned serene waters into nightmares for unsuspecting visitors. These Thai pirates also terrorized the fleeing Vietnamese boat people in the 1970s and 80s, attacking their boats, stealing possessions, and committing brutal assaults. Many Vietnamese were kept prisoner on Koh Tao Island, and the pirates would return, assaulting the women in the most horrible ways imaginable.
Can you tell me what happened to the women on Koh Tao Island?
Yes, I will tell you. On the had to hide themselves in the caves to avoid the syrup, because every day there were many syrup boats, fishing boats came and went on the Koh Tao Island to search. They were searching for the women many places, and they could find out many of the women every day and rape them. Very cruel.
Even today, the descendants of these pirates still inhabit many of the local islands, keeping the chilling history alive. This dark history is rumoured to be why Koh Tao has earned its ominous nickname, Death Island. Many believe the Thai mafia runs Koh Tao, not in the traditional sense, but rather the families that have held power since it was colonised in the 1940s. Over the decades, Koh Tao has seen countless deaths amongst tourists and business owners. In our first video, we detailed many of these suspicious deaths, but in this video, we'll cover stories of those who narrowly escaped terrifying situations and evidence of police corruption, as the Koh Tao police are rumoured to have very close connections with these powerful families.
Royal Thai Police spokesman Police Lieutenant General Piya Uttayo dismissed the foreign media criticism of the police forensic investigation into the 2014 Koh Tao murder case.
It was 1999. That's when I found my paradise. Literally the last stop on the ferry route from Koh Samui. Koh Tao, a tiny island off the tourist trail. Well, at least it was then. A week turned into a month. I was now running the only all-female owned dive school in Thailand, and it brought more money, more kudos, more connections. It was just amazing.
We are now in the village.
And it turned into 2 years, and then it turned into 10. I got involved with a local man, I got married. He walked into the shop and put his pistol into my sarong, and he said, when immigration come in, he showed him this gun that's got my name on it. We didn't want to know there was something sinister going on in paradise. We wanted to live in paradise, and if we left Koh Tao, where did we go?
Police reinforcements were rushed to this normally peaceful island to help investigate what appears to be a brutal double murder. The bodies of the 2 young British tourists were found here early this morning.
It became impossible for me to shut my eyes after the murders of Hannah and David. I can't cover this up anymore. I will not be complicit. I knew if I reported on it, I would be in danger. So I began to dig, and I dug deeper and deeper, until in the end I dug too deep. More bodies just kept happening. They just kept coming. They just kept coming. And it didn't seem real.
The coroner here couldn't find a cause of death. Chrissy, she was going around asking questions about previous deaths on the island.
He was definitely murdered, we know that. He was drugged, he was beaten and then chucked in a swimming pool. And when you look at it, we've all lost children in the same place. Is that not telling you something?
When you put them all together, you can't help but know that something's wrong on that island, very wrong.
Everyone said it's going to be 2 Burmese migrant workers. 2 Burmese migrant workers will be scapegoated for this crime. And as if by magic, 2 Burmese migrant workers were arrested.
Greetings, world. We are anonymous. It has come to our attention that a Thai court has recently sentenced 2 Burmese migrants to be executed. The Thai police seem only to care about one thing: their lucrative tourism industry.
These date rape drugs, not very stable in Thailand. I think 1 or 2 people died. I think he just got a taste for it. I think he thought, you know what, I've got away with that. Maybe we'll try it again. My role is find peace for all of the families of all of those who've lost their lives on Koh Tao, and to freeze all in and way pure. It's the last thing I think of when I go to sleep and the first thing I think of in the morning. So I took the decision to take them on, which I did. So I spend a lot of time alone in a very remote location behind very, very thick, very, very tall gates. So when the book comes out, nobody can find me.
First up, we have an interview with an attack survivor on the famous Sari beach. Interviewed by Australian lawyer Ian Yarwood, this terrifying encounter is sure to send shivers up your spine.
Welcome to the channel, George.
Yeah, hi Ian. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Okay, would you like to tell the viewers just from the beginning of your arrival on Koh Tao, what happened, please?
So, me and a friend, we arrived on Koh Tao, found a guest house, nice place to sleep, close to the beach.
And this was near Sari Beach, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And then we were just there to, have a couple of days of fun before we were moving on to Koh Phangan. The next day, in the evening, we decided to have some drinks, more in the center part of the town, let's say. And then the idea was to make our way back up along the beach, have a couple drinks here and there, and then make our way back to our guest house. So that's what we did. Then probably around 3 at night, we ended up at the beach bar, let's say in front of our guest house, or just a couple hundred meters away. And we sat down there. Well, I think I was the one that bought the drinks. My friend sat down there with 2 Dutch girls. He just got to meet there. And we just started chatting a little bit. When all of a sudden we heard a dog suddenly barking and having pain, I guess. I don't know how to...
Yelping.
Yelping. And so we looked over that direction, and then we asked the guy what happened. And...
The guy, was that an Asian guy or a Thai guy?
Yeah, that was an Asian guy. He was working at that bar where we are having the drinks. Well, he didn't reply, but his reply was spitting on the ground in front of me.
Okay.
That didn't feel right. Anyway, we stayed there for just a little bit more. A couple minutes later, he did the same thing. Walked by, spit in front of me on the ground.
Yes.
And that moment, I felt like this is not right.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you worked that out.
Yeah. So I told to my friend, I said, this ain't right. Let's go. You know, and he was like, no, it's okay. And these girls were like, no, it's okay. Nothing to worry about. I was like, no, it's not okay. So I left. It was just one path from that bar from the beach to our guest house. So I just made my way back. Then while I was walking down that path, I hear footsteps behind me. So I look back. I see that same guy with an empty bottle in his hands.
Yes.
Walking like maybe 10 meters behind me.
Yep.
So I just immediately kicked off my flip-flops and started running towards my guest house. I was smart enough to take the front entrance of the guest house. There was also a back entrance, but if I figured if I'm walking there, he might know that I'm staying here, and then he will still find me. Yeah, smash on the ground or on a rock. I don't know.
Yep.
It broke. That's for sure. Arriving at my guest house, we slept on the ground floor. I found out I didn't have the key with me, so I just hid behind the closet, like shaking in fear, and then hoping that my friend would come as well.
Yes.
And then a couple minutes later, my friend came into the back door with some blood on the side of his face.
Yes.
We opened the door. Lights out, flat on bed.
Yep.
And then some minutes later, we hear.
Okay. If I can just interrupt you for a moment. You were telling me before that when your friend arrived with the blood coming down his face, you told me that he'd been hit by a glass bottle from the same fellow.
Well, no, not with the bottle. He just got hit. It was the same fellow. Yeah. It was the same. He basically met him. He was making his way back to the beach, and my friend was making his way to the guest house, and they met somewhere in the middle, I guess. The guy punched him. My friend pushed him away, started running as well. Yeah, as we were in our room, a couple minutes later, or even a minute later, we hear like a bunch of guys outside on motorbikes and chatting in Thai, like obviously looking for us. Yeah, so we just waited till the sun came up. We took the first like the taxi or car we could find back to the harbor, and took the first boat off to Koh Phangan. Yeah.
Okay, so you fled the island.
Fled the island.
In this segment, we uncover the harrowing story of Carla Bartel from Canada and Sam Venning from the United Kingdom. In 2013, while visiting Koh Tao to get their diving certification, they had an extremely close encounter after a night out at the Fishbowl Beach Bar on Surrey Beach. Unknown to them at the time, they happened to be sitting right where Hannah and David's bodies were found less than a year later. They narrowly escaped becoming victims themselves. Here is their story.
We walked down kind of the strip, I guess, kind of a lot of people refer to it as. And we ended up sitting along a wall right at the very end of the strip, where I believe it's kind of a runoff for kind of ocean water to come into when the tide is up.
And how close was this to the location where David Miller and Hannah Witheridge's bodies were found?
So what struck me that morning more than anything when I saw it on the news was seeing their bodies pretty much in the exact spot where I had been hit and fell off the wall. You know, a lot of people I know would go and sit down there and just chat and talk. So, you know, what we were doing wasn't uncommon.
Yes.
And I guess, you know, they were just in the exact same situation that Carla and myself were in. And unfortunately, we survived.
So it was quite dark in the area. That was one of the biggest things that like stood out for me, because everything is like hustle bustle there. There's bars everywhere. This was just a little area. It was quite nice, like a pretty place to sit. so I thought.
Yes.
And we were just chatting, and honestly, I remember kind of getting a bad feeling. Yeah, and I mean, not very long after, I heard a scuffle of flip-flops, like right there. Like it was like 2 seconds of that noise, and I jumped down and looked back.
Yes.
And right there was 2 men that I can remember having masks on, because I don't remember seeing their faces at all. Like I'm almost certain. What I described at the time was like those anonymous, like V for Vendetta masks. That's kind of.
So we were sat on the wall just talking, and I noticed a moped pull up. And so there, and again, my memory is a touch spotty. So from what I remember is the water runs off, and then there's a small bridge, maybe 1 meter to 2 meters wide. And I just remember someone walking over that. They weren't small by any means. Just I'd say a fairly normal build. And only reason why I cocked my head at all is just because the light came in, and I obviously heard the noise of a moped. And I just saw someone get off their bike and start to walk over the bridge, and didn't take really any notice of it. Maybe I was looking for half a second to a second, maybe 2 seconds. Continued chatting to Carla, and then all of a sudden I hear the scuffle of flip-flops. And I just turn around to see what's going on, and as I turn around, I get hit. I'm kind of in here around kind of the forehead, where they were trying to go for my temple, but they hit me square in the face with a rock. Fortunately, the rock smashed, and I fell off the wall. I believe the wall was between 5 and 6 feet high, tall enough that we dangled our feet off, and it was a decent jump off the wall. I fell off, pretty much hit the deck. Luckily it's sand, so no real injuries there. And then all I remember is waking up, seeing, I don't even remember someone running off, because by the time I just woke up and I hit Carla screaming, just a noise that will kind of live with me for a long time.
I just took off running. Like I jumped down in that little runoff area where it's sandy. And I went under the bridge towards the main path, and I was just like hysterically screaming and like, help, like somebody help me. And like, I didn't look back. I was in my head, I was like certain that I was being chased. That's what I assumed at the time. And I didn't have time to look back. Well, I crawled out of that little creek area, and there was what I could only describe as like a white man on the path, and I was just like, help, like somebody help me. And like I said, I don't know where my friend Sam is, and he probably thought like, who is this crazy lady just yelling at me, crying. But and Sam ran up like a couple seconds later, and he had blood like rushing down his face, and like he had been hit with a rock. And like pretty much as soon as Sam came up, like these 2 what I can only describe as like what I thought was Asian men took off on a motorbike towards the direction of Bands.
Hearing her screaming, and me just being like, are you all right, are you okay? And then obviously adrenaline kind of kicks in, and I just remember hearing the moped go.
I know a place that's peaceful and quiet, a place where animals play.
Okay, Martin, because some Thai audience probably do not know what's really going on, can you tell me again what really happened before the alleged rape, especially on the night on 26th of June? What happened that night?
Okay, that night I went back to the hostel early after dinner. It must have been about 6 or 7 o'clock. I was in the hostel, just sort of in bed watching TV, and then 2 of my friends came back to the hostel, came and got me and said, let's go out again to the bar. And so I thought, okay, we'll go to the bar. And we were at Leo Bar and Fishbowl Bar, sort of going backwards and forwards. I'm not sure which one we were at when we got our final drink. I think it was Fishbowl. We got one last drink.
Yes.
And that's a drink. After I drank it, I was feeling very, very drowsy and really not knowing what was going on at all. I hadn't drunk very much, so it was quite unusual. I wasn't expecting to feel so like drowsy and weird. And so we thought we'd try leave, and then we make it a little way down the beach.
But you felt very dizzy very fast, very soon, after you took that drink?
Yeah, really quickly.
And what's the symptom? How did you notice?
I felt quite really dizzy, quite sick. I didn't really have much direction in my head. I didn't know what way to go. And so I thought I have to go home. And so we leave. And then we tried to walk on the beach because Fishbowl, you can exit on the beach. We exit on the beach and we walked out towards the right. And we walked up the beach.
In this case, only you and she
me and the British tourist, yeah.
Only 2 of you came out together.
Yeah.
So you just told your friends that you want to get back to the hostel. So the 2 of you came out together?
Yeah.
Ah, I see.
And so we left the bar. So we walked north on the beach because we knew that was the way back. So we were walking north on the beach and we made it maybe 50 meters. And just north from Fishbowl, there's a building that's it's under construction. It's not built yet. I remember walking just in front of that. And as I walked in front of it, I remember seeing someone nearby and saying, oh, do you need any help? Maybe because I was very dizzy, not walking properly. And they asked me if I needed help. But I didn't want any help. I thought I could get home all by myself. And then at that moment, I just blacked out and lose consciousness and fell asleep on the beach. That's all I remember until about 5 a.m. And that was maybe 1 in the morning, but I'm not certain.
Okay. And you couldn't remember at all where was the British tourist?
No, I woke up. I couldn't even remember that I was with her. I just thought, why am I here? What's going on? I had no idea what was going on. I was very confused.
Where were you when you woke up?
Same place, right in front of the building that hasn't been built yet, right near Fishbowl. Exact same place, on the beach.
At the beach?
Yeah.
So what happened when you wake up? Did you walk back to the hostel, or what did you do?
Yeah, I was really confused. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know why I was on my own, why I was just on the beach falling asleep. And so I tried calling all my friends. And I walked on the street and see if I could see anybody, but no one was really around. It was too late. All the bars had shut and everything. So I called in my friends, and then finally they answer me and they say, oh yeah, come back to the hostel quick. So I walk back to the Hive, maybe 15 minutes. And then when I get back, all my friends are there, and the British tourist is there. She'd had been picked up and taken back to the hostel.
So you met the British tourist at the hostel?
Yeah, after about 5:30 in the morning.
Did you ask her what happened?
Yeah, of course. She was very upset, and she didn't really know what had happened. But we worked out that she had been taken further up the beach, that she had been raped, and that when she woke up, she walked a little bit inland, and she bumped into 2 of our friends who very kindly took her home.
That was about 5:30 when you meet her.
Yeah.
And all of you were there at the hostel to discuss all the details?
Yeah, we were all back at that point, yeah.
And what did you decide to do that morning at about 5:30?
Well, we didn't really know what to do. Izzy was very upset. We had already booked tickets on a Sea Trans ferry to Koh Phangan, and that was leaving at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. And we already had the tickets, and Izzy was very sad and upset and didn't want to stay on the island. And we were sort of very shaken up, and so we thought we should just go to Koh Phangan, deal with it there. Mm-hmm. And so we packed our stuff, got on the ferry, and then left.
So all of you decide to leave Koh Tao first thing in the morning. You didn't try to tell the police on Koh Tao. that very morning?
Well, it was very early. I think the police station was shut, and we thought we cannot miss our ferry. We just go in Koh Phangan.
Did you tell any Thai people on the beach before you left? On Koh Tao before you left?
No, only person we told was the owner of the hive.
The hostel, the owner of the hostel.
Yeah.
And when you arrived Koh Phangan, what did you do?
We found a hostel, put our stuff down, and then went to the police station in Koh Phangan.
And what's the reaction from the police?
Oh, well, again, I had to talk to the policeman because Izzy was too sad. She couldn't talk about it. So I was talking to the policeman, and he said that he couldn't talk about the because it didn't happen on Koh Phangan. He said he can give me a police statement which says that we were robbed, and so we can claim it on insurance. And he wrote that out for me, but he said that he couldn't talk about the because it didn't happen on Koh Phangan.
So it's the only case that they accepted, robbery and stolen.
Robbery, yeah.
And it's exactly what happened to the British tourist as well. Her purse, her phone were stolen.
Yeah, phone, purse, all her cards, money. I think her whole bag was stolen.
From the interview that I read, she mentioned T-shirt that have semen on the back of the T-shirt. How was it? Did you take a look? How was it?
Yeah. It was my friend's T-shirt, and when she gave it back to him, she hadn't noticed it. So he had a look at the T-shirt, he saw it, and he showed us, and he said, "Oh, look at this! I think it's semen stain. It's disgusting." And I looked at it, and I think it definitely was small white stain. It looked like it, and I thought we have to keep this. We have to look after it because it has to be the guy. It shows that it's him. So I put it in a plastic bag. I sealed it up and I put it in my bag.
Why did the tourist wear a T-shirt of your friend that night instead of her own clothes?
It's a cool T-shirt. I think she just liked it. It's a nice T-shirt, and like when you're on holiday, you get bored of your clothes. You see your friends' clothes, try your friends' clothes.
And where is it at the moment? Now you are back to the UK. Did you give the T-shirt? It must be the only evidence for the alleged.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So I took the T-shirt back to the UK.
Yes.
And then I gave it to Izzy. The British tourist.
You gave it back to her?
Yeah, I gave it back to her.
And where is it? Where is the T-shirt right now? Do you know?
I think they handed it to the police.
When you are back to London. Okay,
I think they gave it to British police.
Do you know what's the latest situation of the British tourist? Did she file this case to the British tourist in London?
Yeah, she has gone to the British police. The British police do know. She has filed it with the Metropolitan Police.
And right now they keep the T-shirt?
I think so, yeah. I'm not sure who actually has it.
And so far, since you got back to London, have you been in touch with her?
Not much. I saw her once to give her the T-shirt, and I think that's it. I haven't been in contact very much, no.
Right now, how do you see the whole situation?
Well, I think it's ridiculous that 2 or 3 months after it happens, now the police want to talk about it, when 2 or 3 times when I was in Thailand, I tried to talk to the police about it, and every time they said, no, I don't want to hear about it. But now all of a sudden, because of all the media attention, they want to talk about it, and they want to try and make it seem as if nothing happened, so that the reputation of the island isn't destroyed. But the reputation of the island will only be destroyed if horrible crimes like this and stuff keep getting covered up. And, I love the island. I love Thailand. I definitely want to go back. But I think it's unacceptable that they're trying to cover it up now just because there's a lot of noise about it in the media. And that's why I'm talking to you, because I just want to tell the truth, because I think people believe the truth when they hear it.
That night when you woke up, you said you were on the beach, but according to the information by the police, they said the beach was flooded by the tide, so nobody probably could be there during that time.
I find that hard to believe because I fell asleep on the beach and I woke up on the beach 4 hours later, and I wasn't wet. I was completely dry. I'd been on the beach the whole time, or at least I'd been asleep and I woke up and fell asleep at the same place. So I'm guessing that I was in the same place for the whole time.
Someone tried to say that there is the process that would like to damage the image of Koh Tao Island because of this. What would be your reaction?
Well, I really have no reason to damage the reputation of Koh Tao. I would have always recommended my friends go to the Hive. That is until I found out that they were saying fake things about the story in order to protect their reputation. But I still love the island. I really enjoyed my time there. I think it's a beautiful place. But I don't think that just because it's a really nice island that you should ignore all the problems on it. You still have to deal with the crime if it's there. I have no reason to attack Koh Tao. I have no reason to attack Thailand. I have no reason to try and, rubbish this place. I really like it. I definitely want to come back. I think that people are scared that this story will damage the reputation. But the only way that this story will damage the reputation of the island is if it's not dealt with in a good way. If bad things keep happening and then nothing happens about them, or they're covered up, or, the wrong people are convicted, that sort of thing, then of course the island will gain a bad reputation. But if the crime is dealt with well and efficiently, then there's nothing to be afraid of.